Hey guys, welcome back. It's Coach Bob here at CrossFit Glen Burnie and Maryland Strong Fitness and Nutrition. Today we're taking a read through an article at the New York Times talking about exercise and how it can affect or improve our immunity. And especially they're looking at, in and around the time that we get our vaccine. So we're going to take a look at what this article has to say. We'll see if it has anything that can help us out. So let's jump in together and take a quick look. So basically what the title caught my eye. It said that exercise may enhance the effects of a COVID or a flu shot. And of course, a lot of us have already had our COVID vaccine, and probably had our booster. So, it's something to consider. So let's take a look and see what it has to say. If we do have a flu shot in the future, maybe it can be useful there. Basically, they're saying a 90-minute walk, jog, or bike ride after getting vaccinated may boost your body's immune system. So, I think about, does this make sense? Why would this be true? But the body has a lot of different kinds of things that we take for granted. It's busy doing a lot of different things. And I think, maybe we'll take a look at the article, see what it has to say. But I think that by walking and moving, there's a lot of the systems of the body that kind of get more energized. And let's see, does this help us with our overall immunity? Does it help us with, being better and stuff like that? So let's see what the article has to say. So, basically, it's written by Gretchen Reynolds, February 9th. So it came out fairly recently. Taking a long brisk walk or jog after your next COVID or flu vaccine might amplify the benefits of the shot, according to a new study of exercise and immunization. So the study, which involved 70 people, so that's not a big, study, only 70, and 80 mice. So it had mice and men and women, looked at the antibody responses after a jab of the influenza vaccine or both rounds of Pfizer BioNTech. I found that people who exercised for 90 minutes right after the shot subsequently produced more antibodies than people who did not. So that would be the extra immune boost, which should help to reduce the risk of falling seriously ill from those diseases. Did not seem to trigger an increase in side effects. So, I think a little bit of background on this one. In our immune system, there are a couple of different levels, as I understand it. One is the antibodies. And then deeper down, we have the B cells and the T cells. So they were talking about the antibodies here, not really necessarily about the B cells and T cell responses. And things are complicated, but they were measuring the antibodies. The antibodies tended to be the kinds of things that were, what they were looking for, a strong antibody response early on in the pandemic from these vaccines. And that would give them some indication that they had a strong protection against the COVID. So, looking at measuring the antibodies does seem like a reasonable thing to do. The study results are preliminary and need to be tested on a larger number of people. Okay, great. So what do we know about exercise and our immune cells? So the relationship between exercise and immunity is, in general, pretty well established. It says that most studies show that being physically active helps protect us against catching colds and other mild upper respiratory tract infections. So if you didn't know that, that's a good piece of information right there, that, most studies are showing, in general, that you are going to be better off against, preventing colds and, respiratory tract infections if you are more active. There is a caveat on that. So the caveat on that is that overtraining can have can dampen your immune system. So we have to be we have to be training smart. We have to plan the appropriate level and volume and intensity of our exercise so that we don't get into kind of like an overtraining state. I'll talk more about that in some future videos. But if you are, coming to your CrossFit 5, 6 days a week, 7 days a week, and you are getting adequate rest and sleep and good nutrition, you probably don't have to worry a whole lot about overtraining. Overtraining is something where if you were you're finding that you're achy and you're just feeling worse and worse every day you're training. You're not sleeping well. You're becoming dehydrated. So there's a lot of mal effects that, soreness that just doesn't seem to go away. Your desire to train drops off, things like that. You're overtraining in that case, right? So that's not something that typically is going to be happening. Okay, so we have some positives here. Physically active helps to protect against catching colds and other mild symptoms. In a study last year, almost 50,000. So now this is a much bigger study here. Who developed COVID, for example, those who had been exercising regularly before their diagnosis were about half as likely to wind up hospitalized as people who rarely worked out. Now, a lot of times in these studies, we have to be kind of careful because we know with COVID there is an age component to it, right? So the folks who have been older and 60s, 70s, 80 plus kind of a thing, they are, have had a more severe, more likely to be hospitalized and that kind of a thing. So, is it that people are exercising regularly? That's what's going on? Or is it that people who are younger tend to be more active and they just end up in a cohort that is less likely to be hospitalized? So you got to be careful with these studies that you're really accounting for the contribution to age as well as the overall other factors that go into it. So I haven't read this study yet, so probably worth taking a look at that. But in general, it does kind of, feel right, because we know it's pretty well established that a, good, active, healthy lifestyle does help us to be on the good side of the sickness, wellness, fitness continuum. So it could be pretty good there. On the other hand, extreme exercise might undermine the immunity. Well, this is what we were talking about before, like marathon. It says marathon runners. I don't want to pick on marathon runners, but you take your body through a lot of volume, a lot of intensity, and you don't pay attention to your recovery, then that can make you more susceptible to being sick. So we have to be smart about our training and our training volume. Overall, though, exercise appears to offer a potent boost to our immune system. The behavior of almost all immune cell populations in the bloodstream is altered in some way during and after exercise. This is pretty cool. I do have detailed information on that I will be reading and studying and then sharing with you. The book, the microbiology book that I have, and the effects of exercise on the microbiology of the human body. So definitely looking forward to getting to that. But that thing has like 22 chapters in it, and I think I'm on like chapter 6. So it's taking some time to get through all of it, but it's fascinating. So it should not be surprising that exercise might also affect vaccine response. Okay. Is there a right dose of exercise? I'm not sure how. It'd be interesting to kind of know, suss out the best timing and the amount of exercise. I mean, it is this kind of thing where you're like, okay, well, I said I'm just going to exercise for the minimum amount. Being active and is going to be a good thing. I think regardless of whether you're doing 20, 30, 60, 90 minutes. However, they randomly assigned everyone to either sit quietly or to exercise for 90 minutes after getting their shot. So why did they pick 90 minutes? I don't know. So that's interesting. And these were folks that were 18 to 87 who said they exercised occasionally. Okay, so they divide them up into two groups. And again, it wasn't a very big group. How big was the group again? Does anyone remember? It was not very big. 70 people. So, you have like 35 in one group, 35 in the other. And, you can get some idea of what's going on, but sometimes it's hard. You need a bigger study, like I said. Okay. So the exercising volunteer rode a stationary bike or walked rapidly for 90 minutes after the vaccination. And they worked out mildly, and okay. So there's some details in here. It's basically saying 45 minutes was not enough. I'm not sure why that is. Let's see. It says after a month, everyone's antibody levels to the flu or the COVID shot, depending on what they got, rose substantially, as expected after getting the vaccine, but they were highest in men and women who exercised for 90 minutes afterwards. And they're not saying how much higher. They're just saying it is higher. So that's a little bit, we got to go kind of figure that out. The antibody bonus was not huge, but it was statistically significant. So, how do we think about this? It's kind of like saying that they did get some, but it wasn't a huge thing. It wasn't like double or something like that. I think if it were something like that, then there would be they'd be handing out cards after your vaccine that, to check off that you've gotten your 90 minutes of exercise, because it's such a big benefit. So they did see some, and now it's not that surprising, right? We know that when we exercise, like I was saying, all those different systems of the body are more engaged and more energetic and doing more things. And so, I think that there are those kinds of effects where one thing kind of builds on another. You could probably do a similar study where you looked at people who, ate junk food after their vaccine and people who, ate a healthy portion of whole foods and then kind of see what the difference are. Because if you're taking good care of your body's going to take good care of you. A lot of that tends to be a common sense thing. So we got to be, I think if we do get a little bit better, it kind of takes me back to the thought of, 1% better, or the aggregation of incremental gains where every little bit helps. And if we, improve our sleep a little bit and improve our activity level a little bit, improve our nutrition a little bit, and all of those things can help overall add up to better and better outcomes in the long run. So, I'll take it. If 90 minutes of exercise is what it takes, then I'll do it. And, you could keep going with this thing, right? So what if you said, let's do 90 minutes exercise right after getting our booster shot, and then let's continue to get 60 to 90 minutes of exercise every day, or, 3 times a week, or something like that. And I think that they would see that they would get some pretty good results. So there we go. Thank you guys so much for joining me today on this quick review of the New York Times article. Stay active, stay healthy. Take care, guys. Bye now.